Hello, this is a quick behind the scenes of how I made the Uzumaki paper Adult Swim bumper. This is just a video of me cutting out one of the pieces. I would go to a store and print it out. And this is one of the more tedious pieces. This took me like 30 minutes to do just to get this tree out, but most of the pieces were not this hard. So I could actually cruise by pretty quickly with an X-Acto knife and a good pair of scissors, but that's how I made all the pieces. And then after cutting them out, I would border them with a Sharpie or a type of ink brush to make sure that the white edges looked blacker, which just helps them look better in video. So I was having a lot of trouble finding like a good source to get the images that I would cut out and use for the video, because I didn't want to scan my own book because that would have required a bit of tearing and I didn't want to do that. But eventually I found a digital version on the Google Play Store that is pretty high quality and has good scans, and so I would end up just taking screenshots of what I could from here and then piecing those together in Illustrator to get what I needed. And that's how I made my pieces. So this is one of the examples of how the pieces get put together after I take the screenshots. Here you can see this shot of Kiri running, but she's in her pajamas. So even though I like how she's holding her head and she's screaming, I need her to be in a different outfit. So then I found these legs that match the angle, but this dress is a little too long to be her school outfit. So then we find this screenshot, which, although it's a good length, and it's not quite right because it's not black, so we just reverse the image. And then when we stitch all of those items together, we mask them in Illustrator. We get all these different pieces that eventually combined, and some parts are much more Frankenstein together than others, but when you combine them as a total, they become this one singular piece. And that's how I make most of the pieces. Even though they're not in the manga, you can combine all the different elements to get what you want. So this is the setup I have here. It's multi-layered, so we can kind of get a parallax scroll effect, and our little figure goes in between here, so she can be in front of one set of grass and behind the other. And then as I walk her down her path while the camera's recording, this is kind of a silly thing that I have to do. There's little pads at the bottom of these chairs, so you can't see it, but I take my chin, and as I move her, I push the camera forward slowly and carefully, so I can kind of get that zoom in type of effect. This is easily my best setup I've ever had, or my best, I mean stupidest. There's a lot of elements here, so we have this tree connected to this thing, so the tree, even though it's flimsy, it's able to stand. This piece is supposed to be floating, kind of standing on that ground there, so it's actually hanging up by string. But this wasn't long enough, so I had to put this stick, jam it into this. It's not connected by anything, it's just jammed in there. What's this chair doing on this table? What is this big board? Well, there was a glare spot right here for a bit of background in the shot. So I needed this to cover up that glare angle. And then I Frankenstein stitched together all these different pieces to help extend the background out. And the movement will actually be pretty simple. She's just gonna walk closer to that angle, but all the different moving pieces made it pretty complicated. And this piece is so long and stupid that it's actually being held together or supported by a book, Uzumaki, which is funny. And then this board also is like tipping back and forth, so I have that coaster there to support it, and I've got those two stacks of wood to support this thing, and it is a work of magic, if you ask me.